In the beginning of this story, we first see the main female lead of this drama. Her name is Sang-ji, who was in her class, but her focus was solely on drawing, meaning Sang-ji is very intelligent, but sometimes she doesn't listen to the teacher's lectures. That's why the teacher scolds her and announces that her parents need to come to school the next day. When the class ends, Sang-ji's friend approaches her and asks, "What will you do now?" Here, outside the window, we see some boys signaling to bring Sang-ji outside with her. So Sang-ji's friend did the same. But her entire focus was on her phone because she had messaged her elder brother for help, who stays in a hostel. But he wasn't replying. Then all the boys reach there, one of whom is a big fan of Sang-ji, meaning he wants to be friends with her. But at that moment, she receives a message from her brother, where without listening to the whole situation, he refuses to help her. Seeing this, she left straight from there and, going quite far, started getting angry.
My elder brother never helps me. It seems like tomorrow I'll have to bring mom along to school.
When she returned home as usual, she was about to excitedly tell her mom about the teacher's meeting with a lot of love. But then her mom tells her, "Your elder brother has come home today. He's upstairs in his room." Upon hearing this, she became quite happy. So happily, she starts heading towards her brother's room to cheer him up. But then, seeing someone else sitting there, her senses get alert because the boy was extremely handsome and cute. His name is Duan, who is Sang-ji's brother's friend and is also the main character of our drama. But Sang-ji started to feel that her brother had undergone plastic surgery. That's why she asks,
Brother, when did you get plastic surgery on your face?
So he responds, "Come closer and check for yourself. There's nothing like that." At that moment, Sang-ji's brother, named Sang-yin, also arrives from behind, asking, "What are you doing in my room?" Duan approaches Sang-yin and asks, "Do we look alike to the extent that your sister thought I was you? Who had plastic surgery?" Upon hearing this, Sang-yin starts getting angry at Sang-ji, expressing, "How could you even think that about me? That I would change my handsome face? According to you, am I not good-looking anymore?" He starts to leave. Sang-ji stops Sang-yin and explains the reason for her being in his room, needing his help. But as usual, Sang-yin outright refuses. At that point, Sang-ji starts crying loudly, lamenting about the lie that her brother hit her, saying,
Mom, he hit me.
Sang-ji's mom comes upstairs, scolds, and even hits Sang-yin for this. Sang-ji stands behind Duan, continuously criticizing her brother. Seeing this behavior, even Duan is momentarily shocked, realizing how mischievous Sang-ji can be. As a result, because of this, mom takes Sang-yin away while scolding and hitting him. So now, Sang-ji starts asking Duan for help and explains that she needs someone to accompany her to school because the teacher has called her parents to complain about her. That's why she wants Duan to go as her brother Sang-yin. Initially, Duan wasn't ready for this. However, when Sang-ji explained that,
If you didn't mention the plastic surgery matter to my brother, he wouldn't get upset with me and wouldn't refuse to help me.
Duan realized that Sang-ji was making a valid point. Therefore, when Duan left Sang-ji's house after asking about her name, school, and class, Sang-ji wasn't certain whether Duan would actually come to help her or not. That was the end of the past story. Now, the story shifts to the present, 3 years later, where Sang-ji has grown up. When she comes downstairs, her brother, who had returned home after a long time, is also there. However, Sang-ji doesn't talk to him because when he was in the hostel, he wouldn't reply to her messages on time. Sang-yin says, "Please don't do this. I've come to meet all of you after a long time. So, you should welcome me." Then Sang-ji gives her brother a warm welcome. Sang-ji is now in the 11th grade, while Sang-yin is in college. Sang-yin requests his father's car to shift his and his friend's belongings to the hostel. Sang-ji offers to help because she only wants to meet Duan, whom she's had a crush on since school days. Upon arriving at the hostel, Sang-ji notices a stuffed toy in the car and picks it up. That's when Duan appears. Seeing him, Sang-ji starts blushing. At first, Duan doesn't recognize her, mistaking her for Sang-yin's younger sister. But then he remembers her and tells her that he did her a favor 3 years ago, so he asks for her help in carrying the stuff. Sang-ji helps him carry the belongings to Sang-yin's room where she meets his other friends. Duan receives a call and leaves immediately, which makes his friends speculate that he might have found a girlfriend since he's always out. This upsets Sang-ji, prompting her to leave for home, forgetting her notebook there. She calls her brother, who was busy playing a game, and asks Duan to speak to Sang-ji. Sang-ji tells Duan that,
I need to submit an essay the next day, and my notebook is at your place.
Duan offers to have her brother bring it to her, but she worries that she won't have enough time to complete the essay. In that case, Duan says, "Then I will ask your brother to write essay for you." But Sang-ji refuses, saying,
He doesn't know it at all, and if he writes anything, it will all go wrong. And I'm not understanding what I should write right now.
Upon this, Duan tells her, then tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, you meet me at the bus stop. I will bring your notebook there and also help you write easy. Hearing this, Sangji becomes very happy, and setting the morning alarm, she goes to sleep. Then she wakes up earlier than usual and gets ready, reaching the bus stop. But even after waiting for quite a while, Duan doesn't show up. So she starts to wonder if he would come today. Then she recalls a day 3 years ago when Duan was supposed to come as Sangji's brother. But Duan never showed up, causing a scolding. That's why she was quite upset while returning home. However, while walking, she tripped. That's when Duan arrived. He apologized for being late. At that moment, Sangji takes him to meet the teacher. On their way there, she explains to Duan.
You don't need to say anything in front of the teacher, just listen to what they say and leave.
Both reach the teacher and make an excuse about their parents being busy with work. The teacher complains about Sangji but also mentions that although she's the topper in the class, she doesn't pay attention and is always drawing. Therefore, Duan pretends to scold her and explains in front of the teacher. This way, albeit late, Duan had saved Sangji from the teacher's scolding. Now, coming back to the present, Duan calls Sangji. She tells him,
If you don't come quickly, he'll never get a girlfriend.
That's when Duan arrives from behind, having gone to buy a milk bottle for her. He goes to buy breakfast nearby. Sangji starts watching him secretly, which Duan notices. He asks her if she wants something to eat. Sangji says no, and Duan sits at the table. But Sangji still watches him secretly. Duan says her to focus on writing essay and initially asks her to drink milk, but Sangji hides the milk bottle in her bag because she's allergic. Sangji quickly writes an essay. After that, Duan takes her to school. Duan had read her essay, which didn't have anything special, so he puts the essay he had written for her last night in her bag, which makes Sangji very happy. After Duan leaves, a boy named Fu Zheng, who had a crush on Sangji since junior school, comes up to her and tries to impress her by dancing. However, Sangji feels embarrassed watching his dance, so she quickly asks him to go to class. When she returns home, she starts reading the easy written by Duan. It was about how Sangji had helped him shift his belongings to the hostel, and at the end, he wrote about Sangji helping his friend as well, who was very happy to meet Sangji again. Reading this makes Sangji very, very happy, and she keeps the milk bottle given by Duan close to her. Parents of Sangji were going to attend a wedding yesterday. That's why they invite Sang Yin to their home. The next morning, Sang Yin arrives at the house, and he tells Sangji to go out for a meal. But she wasn't in the mood, so Sangji refuses. But Sang Yin calls someone and says that he's going to have lunch with his friends. Sangji thinks he's talking about his friend Duan. After that, Sangji gets ready to go with him. But upon reaching there, she realizes he was her other friend. Then, in a little while, Sang Yin picks up Duan in a bit of panic as he had worked overtime all night and was very tired. So he starts sleeping in the car. Seeing this, Sangji thinks about how hardworking he is. Then she starts secretly observing him, which Duan notices. So Duan asks her, he looks very handsome to her. Upon hearing this, Sangji nervously says no. To which Duan says, then why do you keep looking at me repeatedly? This embarrasses Sangji a bit, and Sang Yin starts getting irritated. But their other friend changes the topic. Then, they reach the restaurant. But Sangji got her period. That's why she tells her brother.
I'll go with you to the parking lot.
But Sang Yin drops her off outside. Now, Sangji is feeling quite upset. Duan notices this and asks her if she needs to use the washroom. Sangji feels extremely embarrassed in front of him. So she quickly starts walking away from there. Sangji's skirt had become dirty, so Duan covered it up. Then, Duan, asking Sangji to stay in the washroom, he went to the store with Sang Yin to buy pads. When they arrived, both of them were feeling very embarrassed. However, somehow, they bought the pads and with the help of another girl, give it to Sangji. At that moment, Sangji found it quite strange, but what else could she do? Therefore, she came out of the washroom and refused to go inside the restaurant with everyone, saying,
No, I just want to go home. So, please, we go home.
But Sang Yin tries to explain to her that everything is normal, not to think too much, and reassures her by saying, I am here with you. Then he took Sangji with him to the restaurant, where everyone ordered lunch. But when Duan found out that Sangji doesn't like beef, he separated it from her food, just for Sangji. Seeing Duan caring so much, Sangji was quite happy. Well, the next day was shown where Sangji was going somewhere with her best friend Jinru, because it was someone's birthday today. But first, these two came to a restaurant. Sangji was surprised to see Duan working part-time there. Duan asked, "Have you come for an outing with your friend? If yes, then enjoy yourself." After that, both sat down on chairs. Jinru started thinking about what to order, but Sangji's entire focus was on Duan, whom she was secretly watching. When Duan noticed this, he began to smile. When Sangji went to place the order and pay, Duan mentioned, "There are a few dollars missing here. I mean, there will be tax on you secretly watching me too." Then, Sangji, feeling flustered, said,
It's nothing like that. And if you were so handsome, this entire restaurant would be full.
Hearing this, Duan burst into laughter. He refused to take money from Sangji, saying, "I can afford you," and with that, Sangji quietly left. Sangji was enjoying soup when she overheard Duan's boss giving him an advance because Duan needs money. Sangji didn't like hearing this. Right then, the birthday boy, Fu Zhang, also arrived. He's the same boy who wanted to be friends with Sangji since school times. That's why upon seeing Duan, Fu Zhang recognizes him as Sangji's brother and waves at Duan. Afterward, they all decide to go for karaoke. However, Duan approaches Sangji and advises her to go home before it gets dark, otherwise, everyone will worry about her. Sangji answers,
Yes.
and leaves from there. Well, in the next scene, we see everyone celebrating Fu Zhang's birthday, where Fu Zhang was very happy. So, he says, on this occasion of joy, "I want to tell you all something." And then he took Sangji's hand directly and stood her up, something Zhengru didn't like. Fu Zhang was about to propose to Sangji, but she stops him because she already knew that Fu Zhang liked her. That's why she started to leave, because she didn't want to reject Fu Zhang in front of everyone. From Zhengru's expression, it's clear that she's quite jealous. Fu Zhang followed her, along with Duan, who saw them together, and when Fu Zhang finally proposed to Sangji, saying, "I have liked you since childhood. I mean, you are my first love." But Sangji made it clear that,
I only consider you as a friend, and so please not to spoil our friendship by saying all this.
So, upon hearing this, Fu Zhang's heart was shattered badly because he had been trying so hard to impress Sangji for a long time. But Sangji had no interest in him. So, he starts crying. Sangji tells him,
Please don't cry, please be quiet.
but he doesn't stop. Right then, Duan, who had heard everything from behind, also arrives. Seeing him, Fu Zhang leaves from there. Duan explains to Sangji that even if she didn't like her classmate, she shouldn't have directly rejected him but rather explained it calmly. She becomes silent and later starts asking,
If you need money, I can help you.
But Duan refuses because obviously, he won't take help from Sangji. But he feels good knowing that Sangji cares about him. Well, the next day, Sangji, who is at school, wants to talk to her best friend, Zhengru. But Zhengru doesn't talk to her at all. Instead, Zhengru completely ignores Sangji, which makes Sangji feel quite strange. In their school today was sports day, where the teacher writes Sangji's name for high jump because she never used to participate in sports events. After class, Sangji tries to talk to Zhenru, but Zhenru is still not talking to her. Then, seeing Zhenru supporting Fu Zhang in the field, Sangji understands. Zhenru likes Fu Zhang, but Fu Zhang likes her. That's why she's not talking to her. Today, Sang Yin and Duan came as volunteers for sports day. Duan fully supports Sangji, but while high jumping, Sangji falls and gets hurt. Sang Yin starts taking her quickly towards the medical room. Then the teacher stops them and asks, "Who is this after all?" Because the teacher knew that Duan was her brother. So, Sangji lies that he is her dad, which surprises the teacher. Then the teacher confirms it with Duan and lets them go. Now, Sang Yin, in anger, starts to pull Sangji away. Then Duan gives her a piggyback ride and takes Sangji to the medical room himself. Duan cleans her injury and applies medicine, which impresses Sangji even more. She thinks about how kind-hearted Duan is. But then Sang Yin arrives and starts carrying her home. That's when Sangji notices that Duan is very kind to everyone, making her feel a little sad. The next day at school, Zhenru comes to Sangji and asks her to go for a walk after school. Sangji had extra classes, so she would be late going home. That's why she had asked her brother to pick her up by calling him. But Sang Yin was busy in a game, so he said he would send Duan. However, after school hours, Zhenru takes Sangji for a walk. Sangji was happy because Zhenru was talking to her, so she goes with her. Meanwhile, Duan arrives to pick her up, but the guard tells him that there are no students in the school. Therefore, Duan starts looking around for her. Meanwhile, Zhenru repeatedly asks Sangji if she has brought money or not, which makes Sangji a bit doubtful. She asks Zhenru, and she gets angry at her and starts walking alone down an alley. So, Sangji follows her, not wanting to leave her alone. But there are 3 girls who starts bullying both of them. Meanwhile, a shopkeeper tells Duan that he had seen two girls heading in that direction a while ago. So, Duan starts going there. Over here, these three girls start bullying Sangji, because they always used to bully Jinru for money. So Jinru said that Sangji has money. Then the girls started bullying Sangji, so at first, she was upset with Zhengru because Zhengru had brought her here knowingly. And then, as she was about to leave, she saw Duan coming from the opposite direction, which made her start crying badly. Duan gets really worried seeing her like that. After that, in the next scene, we see Sangji telling Duan everything that happened to her. Hearing this, Duan also gets worried for Sangji. He says, "Don't hide this. Tell your teachers, parents, everyone." And then, to lift Sangji's mood, he takes her on a beautiful route. Sangji really likes it, which makes her happy. Well, the next day, when Sangji came out of school, she saw her brother there with all his friends. They were there to teach a lesson to the bullies who had troubled his sister. At first, Sangji wasn't prepared for this, so she quietly started to leave. But Duan supported her, so she agreed. They all arrived near the same place where Sang Yin, Duan, and another friend went inside while leaving Sangji with the other friend. As soon as they entered, they found those three girls because Sangji had told her brother about them. Sang Yin initially tries to calmly explain to those girls that the person they bullied yesterday is my sister. It would be better if you stop this and don't bully anyone. But when they don't listen, Sang Yin scolds them. And when Duan understood the situation, seeing him angry, those three girls get so scared that one of them even sits down. Meanwhile, Sangji, who was waiting outside, finally sees Sang Yin returning with her purse. She becomes extremely happy seeing him. The other friend who was with Sangji asks what they did inside. So, Sang Yin replied, "You know that I scare away 10 to 12 people like this every day at college. So, even if they were girls." Everyone laughed upon hearing this because everyone knew he was lying. After some laughter and jokes, they all left from there. Before Jinru, who had taken her friend to them upon the bully's insistence, was transferred from the school. Just before Jinru left, she saw Sangji crying bitterly because she felt really sorry for Jinru. That's when Sangji found a note from Jinru on her bench that said, "Please forgive me for one last time." The next day, we had exams, which Sangji also took. However, when the results came out, Sangji had good marks in all subjects except for physics. That's why Dad said they'd arrange a tutor for Sangji, who was none other than Sang Yin. Sang Yin started teaching Sangji, but they just couldn't get along. Whenever Sangji asked a question 2 or 3 times, Sang Yin would get annoyed, saying, "I can't teach you anymore. That's it, I'm leaving." So Mom informed Sangji that from the next day, another teacher would come to teach you. Therefore, the next day, Sangji got ready and sat down to meet the new teacher. And when she went downstairs to have water, that's when she saw Duan in the kitchen. When she saw him, she was shocked and asked,
"How come you're here?"
That's when Sang Yin explained, "He's your new tutor." You can't even imagine how happy Sangji would have been upon hearing this news. But Sangji's brother doesn't leave Duan alone. He was constantly playing games with him. Then, Sangji started secretly taking photos of Duan, which Duan noticed, so he started posing for her. Seeing this, Sangji pretended to be adjusting her camera, but then Sang Yin asked, "Are you taking his photo? Why not mine? Am I not handsome enough?" So she called her brother a monkey and ran away, which deeply hurt poor Sang Yin because Sangji never praises him, always speaks ill of him. After coming to her room, Sangji couldn't stop looking at the photo of her crush Duan and started posing like him. After a while, Duan came to teach Sangji, and the next day he came again to teach her. From Sangji's words, he understood she had no interest in physics. So Duan decided to take her to the science museum, for which he got permission from Sang Yin. However, when the three reached the museum the next day, Sang Yin refused to go in because he wanted to play games, heading straight to the game section. Duan went inside with Sangji, showing her various things and explaining them. Sangji started gaining interest in science because everything seemed cool to her there. The most fascinating thing was a plant that, upon touching, displayed flowers as a shadow. Duan asked, "Are you interested in science now?" To which she replied,
"Yes."
Sangji then directly asked Duan about his dream. He said, "I want to create an awesome game. My dream is to enter the gaming industry." Then, Sangji suddenly asks Duan.
"You have a girlfriend?"
Duan says to her, "Why are you suddenly asking me about this?" So Sangji says,
"Your friends told me that you have a girlfriend."
Duan says, "They were just kidding. I don't have a girlfriend yet." Hearing this, Sangji becomes very happy. Then Sangji asks,
"Even after getting a girlfriend, will you treat me the same way?"
To which Duan says, I will definitely make a girlfriend who treats you as well as I do. Hearing this, Sangji becomes sad because Duan was talking about making another girl his girlfriend. Seeing her upset, Duan says, I'll tell you first and bring my girlfriend to meet you first. Hearing this, Sangji becomes even sadder. After this, both sit together and talk a lot. When Sang-yin calls, they leave. Sangji's sketchbook is left behind. Now Duan had some work here, so he asks both of them to go home. Sangji realizes her sketchbook is missing. She calls the science museum and learns from security that the boy who was with her returned the sketchbook. Hearing this, Sangji becomes quite worried and embarrassed because the sketchbook contains sketches of Duan. After this, she wonders what Duan might be thinking after seeing her sketches. So, the next morning, Sang-yin brings Sangji's sketchbook. Seeing it, Sangji gets lost in thoughts. Why did he send the sketchbook through my brother's hands? Did he see the sketchbook? Here, Sang-yin returns to the hostel, where he tells Duan that Sangji is doing online dating. She told me about it herself. After that, I scolded her a lot. And I also took away her phone and laptop. That's why he asks Duan to come back the next day to teach her. So, Duan explains to him that he should explain it to her lovingly rather than scolding her. Otherwise, she might get even worse. That's why Sang-yin comes back home to talk to Sangji with Duan. But Sangji wasn't listening to him at all. So Sang-yin asks Duan to talk to her. So Duan asks her about her online date, which Sangji basically lied to her brother about because she felt that Duan might have seen her sketchbook and understood that Sangji liked him. So she diverts this matter, and she lied to her brother about online dating so that everything remains normal between Duan and her. So when Duan asks, she tells him that
My boyfriend lives in the Iha city,
which is Duan's hometown. So she was basically talking about Duan.
and he is going to graduate this year and he is 5 years older than me.
After knowing all this, Duan worries about her. That's why he asks for the boy's number. But Sangji says she doesn't have it. So Duan explains to her that she shouldn't date now. She should focus on her studies first and graduate high school with good grades. Then she can date in university and no one will say anything to her then. So Sangji understands. Then Duan starts teaching her. So, in a few days, the spring festival arrives. That's why Sangji's mom and dad asked Duan to stay here for a while to celebrate the festival with them. Then Duan stays here for a while to help them. In the meantime, Sangji puts a red envelope in Duan's jacket because he doesn't take it if given directly. Then after helping them, Duan leaves from here. So, at night, Sangji's family celebrates the festival and has dinner, where Sangji got her mobile phone, and she uninstalls the dating app she had installed falsely. Here, Duan, who working on his game, suddenly finds out that his dad's health is bad. That's why he quickly goes back to his hometown. On that day, parcels arrive at Sangji's house, which Duan sent as a New Year gift for them. So Sangji gets to know from her brother about Duan going back to his hometown. She had come with a New Year gift for Duan. Sangji opens the gift given by Duan, in which there is a stuffed toy dog, for which she calls Duan and thanks him for the gift, and asks about his dad's health too. So Duan says that his condition currently is fine. Then a girl comes to Duan's house to wish for the new year. Along with that, she gives him an envelope, but Duan refuses to take it. And we notice that Duan was quite uncomfortable seeing that girl. In a few days, Duan's graduation ceremony was there. So the girl wanted to come with him, but Duan refuses her. After that, Duan's graduation day comes, where Sangji's family also came to meet him. Now, Sangji kept staring at Duan because he was looking quite handsome.
If you want to know what will happen next, so please subscribe, like and share the drama show.